The Calthurian warfleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Sol system, with all the arrogance of a species that had conquered 47 worlds. Their sleek obsidian vessels, each one a kilometer of death and devastation, moved in perfect formation like sharks sensing blood in cosmic waters. For 3 centuries, the Calthurians had carved their empire across the Orion Arm, and no species had ever withstood their might. Commander Zethrak stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominion, his 4 eyes gleaming with anticipation. The holographic display before him showed a small blue planet, third from its star. Earth, the humans called it. Such a primitive name for such a vulnerable world. They were warned, Zethrak mused aloud, his mandibles clicking with amusement. The Galactic Council sent 3 separate transmissions. "Stay away from the Sol system," they said. "Humanity is dangerous," they claimed. He turned to his tactical officer. "Do you see any defenses worthy of concern?" The officer's scan revealed only a handful of orbital stations and a modest fleet of vessels that looked more suited for exploration than warfare. "Nothing, Commander. Their technology appears centuries behind our own." On Earth, at the Unified Defense Command Center in Geneva, alarms blazed across every screen. Rose Martinez, the 32-year-old tactical coordinator, watched the enemy fleet's approach with steady brown eyes that had seen too many simulations of this exact scenario. Her fingers danced across holographic controls, pulling up defensive positions and communication channels. "How long until they're in weapons range?" she asked, her voice calm despite the churning in her stomach. 18 minutes, replied Eliam Chen from the adjacent console. The young weapons specialist's jaw was set, his usually jovial demeanor replaced by cold focus. "The Calthurians." "Just like the Council warned us," Rose nodded. 3 years ago, when humanity had finally achieved faster-than-light travel and announced themselves to the galaxy, the response had been mixed. Some species welcomed them. Others, like the Calthurians, saw only prey. The Galactic Council had issued their warning to the warlike species. "Stay away from human space." "You don't understand what you're dealing with." The Calthurians had laughed at the warning. After all, what could a species that had only just reached the stars possibly do to an empire that had dominated the galaxy for centuries? They were about to find out. "Initiate Protocol Omega," Rose said quietly. Around her, the command center erupted into controlled chaos as officers scrambled to their stations. Eliam's fingers flew across his console. "Activating planetary defense grid. Kinetic platforms online. Lunar railgun batteries charging. Mars defense fleet moving to intercept position." In orbit, humanity's modest fleet began to move. What the Calthurians had mistaken for simple exploration vessels suddenly bristled with weapon ports that had been cleverly disguised. Humans, it turned out, had learned many lessons from their own bloody history, and one of those lessons was that appearances could be deceiving. "Commander." Zethrak watched with growing confusion as the human ships began their approach. "Are they attacking? With those vessels?" He actually laughed, a grating sound that echoed through the bridge. "This is almost disappointing. Fire at will. Destroy them quickly." The Eternal Dominion unleashed its primary weapon, a plasma lance that could vaporize a battlecruiser in seconds. The beam crossed the void, striking the lead human vessel dead center, and bounced off. Zethrak's laughter died in his throat. "What?" "Commander, their shields," the tactical officer's voice cracked. "They're using some kind of rotating gravitational field. Our plasma dissipates before it can penetrate." Rose allowed herself a small smile. Humanity spent 10,000 years fighting each other, learning every possible way to kill and to survive. Did they really think we'd go into space unprepared? The human fleet opened fire, not with plasma or lasers, technologies the Calthurians had long since developed countermeasures for, but with weapons born from humanity's savage past, refined with future science. Railguns firing projectiles at relativistic speeds, nuclear-pumped X-ray lasers, quantum-entangled missiles that couldn't be dodged because they existed in superposition until the moment of impact. The Calthurian formation shattered. 3 ships disappeared in nuclear fire. 2 more were torn apart by tungsten rods traveling at 0.9 C. Commander Zethrak watched in horror as his inferior enemy systematically dismantled the fleet that had conquered half the galaxy. "Retreat," he screamed. "Get us out of—" Eliam pressed the final key, Hidden throughout the asteroid belt, humanity had seeded thousands of dormant mines over the past 3 years, ever since the Council's warning had first reached Earth. Now they activated, creating a cage of nuclear hellfire that no ship could escape. The Eternal Dominion managed to turn, its hyperdrive charging desperately, but Rose had anticipated this. A single human corvette, piloted by volunteers who knew they wouldn't return, made a kamikaze run at the flagship. The Calthurians shot it down, of course, but not before it released its payload. Nanobots, trillions of them. Humanity's answer to superior armor was simple. Don't fight the armor, eat it. The microscopic machine swarmed over the Eternal Dominion, consuming its hull atom by atom. Commander Zethrak's last transmission was broadcast across all Galactic Council frequencies. They were, "We should have," the warning, then static. 12 minutes after entering Earth's region, the Calthurian warfleet ceased to exist. Rose leaned back in her chair, suddenly exhausted. Around her, the command center erupted in cheers, but she felt only a deep sadness. Another species had learned the hard way why the Council had issued its warning. Eliam approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You saved billions of lives today." "I know," Rose replied softly. "But they didn't have to die. They were warned. Their pride killed them. Across the galaxy, species that had once considered humanity easy prey received the battle recordings and reconsidered their assessment. The humans were dangerous not because they were the strongest or the fastest or the smartest, but because they had spent millennia perfecting the art of survival against impossible odds. The Galactic Council's warning was updated. Stay away from Earth's region. This is not a suggestion. This is not a negotiation. Humanity has been fighting for 10,000 years. Don't give them a reason to add your species to their list of victories. Some called it arrogance. Humanity called it a hard-learned lesson, peace through strength, and mercy only for those wise enough to accept it. The Calthurians had chosen pride over wisdom. Their ruins now drifted silently in the void, a monument to the cost of that choice.